The military and political leadership of Japan plans to strengthen the self-defense forces. The reason for this was the growing tension in the Asia-Pacific region. The main threat is the strengthening of the power and influence of China, with which there are long-standing disputes over the Senkaku archipelago and control of maritime trade routes. North Korea's nuclear missile program poses a threat. The unresolved issue of the Kuril Islands is also relevant for the Japanese. But one of the main threats is considered to be the growing confrontation between China and the United States over Taiwan. In 2017, while serving as President of the United States, Donald Trump repeatedly called on Japan to increase military spending and expressed injustice. If Japan is attacked, we will have to fight in World War III. But if they attack us, Japan does not have to help us at all. They will watch us being attacked on Sony TV. But this is not quite true. After all, American military bases are permanently stationed in Japan. And in the case of an American war, it automatically falls under the scope, and it will have to defend the interests of the United States, including by military means, although formally there are no such obligations. As of historical reference, it can be noted that the security of Japan after the end of World War II is largely guaranteed by the United States, and the self-defense forces have no right to act on someone else's territory. It is also interesting how Japan treats the nuclear bombing by the Americans of the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. In their opinion, it was the right decision that allowed ending the war, getting rid of the militaristic leadership of the country. But the main thing is not to fall into the hands of the Soviet Union. Currently, Japan is closer than ever to fulfilling the call of the former US president. At the end of last year, the Japanese government decided to significantly increase its military power. The military budget is planned to be doubled. By 2027, it is planned to increase it to $80 billion, which today corresponds to the third place in the world. And the self-defense forces will get new opportunities, including preemptive strikes against the enemy deep in its territory. The main efforts to improve the self-defense forces are mainly aimed at increasing the intelligence capabilities, the firepower of the troops, their mobility and the efficiency of deployment. Endowing troops with the capabilities to conduct multi-domain operations, wide use of intelligence tools, including space and cyberspace. The concept of defense at a distance is being worked out. For its implementation, it is planned to purchase American Tomahawk sea-based cruise missiles with a range of up to 1,600 kilometers. They are creating their own weapons with a range of up to 1,000 kilometers based on Type 12 anti-ship missiles. By 2027, it is planned to equip warships and aircraft with their modifications. By 2030, it is planned to receive its own long-range hypersonic missiles. In order to conduct amphibious operations on the disputed islands, it is planned to form highly mobile formations with extensive use of heavy armed combat vehicles Type 16, light armored vehicles Type 01, portable anti-tank and anti-aircraft missile systems. It is planned to strengthen the Air Force by increasing the supply of American F-35 fighter jets, expanding the fleet of reconnaissance aircraft, primarily unmanned. Earlier this year, the United States and Japan agreed to cooperate in the field of strikes from space. A joint layered missile defense system is being created with the Americans, which includes land and sea components. They will be based on the Patriot air defense system, Aegis ship-based weapon control systems, and Standard 3 anti-missiles. Great attention is paid to the Navy, whose modernization is aimed at ensuring the conquest of dominance at sea. The main feature is the creation of carrier strike groups, which will be based on light aircraft carriers with F-35 carrier-based aircraft. It is planned to adopt new submarines, frigates, unmanned systems, and basic patrol aircraft. It is envisaged that all troops will be able to operate in a common information space with the ability to adaptively create heterogeneous reconnaissance and strike contours in vast territories. Serious attention is paid to the conduct of hybrid wars. The experience of the reunification of Crimea with Russia in 2014 is being studied with great interest. All this is accompanied by the strengthening of allied relations and the actual integration of command structures with the United States. Japan also has agreements with Australia and the United Kingdom on the mutual deployment of troops on their territories, which in fact is the creation of a new military alliance. In addition, cooperation with the North Atlantic Alliance has been intensified. At the end of January, the NATO's Secretary General called Japan the closest and most capable of all the alliance's partners. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, in turn, announced that Japan will open a representative office at the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Tokyo's attitude to the fighting in Ukraine can be described as fears that China, looking at these events, can radically solve the Taiwan issue, and, according to the Japanese Prime Minister, East Asia may become the next Ukraine tomorrow. Tokyo officially condemns the Russian actions and provides Kiev with limited assistance, which amounts to about $600 million. These are small-sized drones, equipment, warm clothes, optical means, hygiene products, dry rations and generators. In addition, there is information on the network about the participation of Japanese mercenaries on the side of the armed forces of Ukraine. Given the above, we can say that Japan is transforming from a ward into the main military ally of the United States and the unspoken East Asian part of NATO. On the one hand, the rapid pace of militarization will make it possible to gain independence from the Americans in the field of ensuring security and promoting their interests in the region, including by force. And also to render a huge service to the United States, in fact removing from them direct responsibility for Japan's security, not counting, of course, allied obligations. On the other hand, start China to solve the Taiwan issue militarily. His opponent on the ground, and for the most part at sea, will primarily be Japan. Of course, NATO countries will provide all kinds of military assistance, but they will hardly take a broad part in the battles directly. The coordination of military operations will remain with the United States. The Americans will also take over the function of nuclear deterrence. But there is also a more restrained forecast. The main stumbling block for the militarization of Japan is its constitution, which prohibits having armed forces and conducting any military operations outside the country. And there are not so many chances to carry out constitutional reform, since there are enough supporters of the current state of affairs. As a result of the failed constitutional reform, the authorities will still continue to follow the course of strengthening the military potential, but only in order to show the whole world that Japan is a reliable, completely independent partner and can be dealt with. Subscribe to the channel, rate the video, put likes, write comments, see you soon.